Hi, my name is Dr. Sarah Modi and I'm an educational psychologist and wellbeing practitioner working for Northamptonshire County Council. I hope you've had the chance to look at my colleague Dr. Kirsten Kravchik's video where she talks about step 1 of emotion coaching. If you've not already had the chance to do so, it might be worth you going back to this video before continuing with this clip. Today we're going to be talking about step 2 of emotion coaching. Within step 2, what we're trying to do is to think about what the child or young person's behaviour is trying to communicate. And we want to think about what emotion the young person might be experiencing. So we want to help to label this emotion, but to also normalise and validate this emotion. In order for us to support children and young people, what we might want to think about doing is tentatively labelling an emotion that we think the child or young person may be experiencing. And we can do this by wondering aloud. Now, as adults, sometimes we worry that we might get this wrong. And you're right, we don't always get this right. But what we do is open up a conversation and open up that communication around talking about emotions, which for children and young people can be really helpful, particularly in the moment. What we might want to think about as well is thinking about what are the behaviours or what are the things that we can see children doing if we're not really sure about what emotion they're experiencing. So I'll give you a few examples. If we're thinking about a child or young person who is really finding it difficult to complete their schoolwork at home at the moment, because perhaps they're missing their friends and they're not been really spending much time with them at the moment, what we might say is something like, "Gosh, I can see you're finding it really difficult to complete your schoolwork today. Must be really hard to do that. Maybe you're missing your friends. Maybe you're feeling a little bit lonely." Or what we might do is, if we're being presented with different behaviours, we might say, "Gosh, I can see you're using a lot of energy to throw those toys across the room." So sometimes we might tentatively label an emotion, but we also might just comment on the behaviours that we see, particularly when we aren't sure what emotion the child might be feeling. What we're trying to do here is to be as non-judgmental as possible when we're working with children and young people, because we want to ensure that we're validating that emotional experience. Because let's face it, as adults, we experience such a range of emotions, don't we, on an everyday basis. What we're also trying to do is to really think about how we can help to soothe the child's mind and body by labelling their emotion and trying to help them to try and make some sense of what is going on for them in that particular moment. We also want to help to empathise and to validate and to normalise how that child is feeling. So we might say something like, "Gosh, I know when I miss my friends, I feel really upset too. It's really hard not to see the people that we care and love about, isn't it?" And in that way, we're trying to help children to know that actually adults feel these feelings too. What we want to also highlight is the difference between the behaviour and the emotion. So in this step, we really want to empathise and validate the emotion that the child is feeling. And with regards to the moments of misbehaviour that might be taking place, we'll really come on to this when we look at step 3 in the next video clip. Within step 2, we also might want to think about the child's emotional reactions and really helping the child to start to think about some of their bodily sensations and bodily cues. Now, our bodies are really fascinating, aren't they? Because our bodies let us know when maybe we're feeling a particular emotion, and our bodies are changing all the time, so we have different sensations that we feel inside and outside of our bodies. So for example, sometimes we might feel hot, we might feel cold, we might feel really brave and strong, or we might feel really breathless. There are lots of different types of physical sensations that we can feel when we're feeling an emotion. Now, sometimes it can be helpful to demonstrate what we mean by this to children and young people in a way that feels kind of accessible to them. One way we can do this is by taking your hands and asking the child or young person to rub them together for 30 seconds. And then we can ask them to think about, what do you notice? Can you Label any of the physical sensations that you feel in your body. Are your hands hot? Are they feeling a bit sweaty? Are they tingling a little bit? We can use the children's words, what they use to think about their own bodily sensations. Sometimes we think about emotions as being either good or bad. But what we want to try and help children to do is to really think about maybe some of them being pleasant or unpleasant, but actually we all experience the whole range of human emotions. Sometimes when we're explaining different emotions to children and people, we might start to think about maybe emotions being like waves in the ocean. Sometimes emotions come crashing in, and sometimes really quite unexpectedly. Other times emotions kind of gently roll in. Okay. Now what we can't do is to stop those waves. Okay, we can't stop those emotions from kind of coming in and taking us by surprise sometimes. But what we can do is to help to be more aware and to notice our emotions so that they don't knock us off of our feet. Okay. Something else for us to think about is during these moments of misbehaviour and when children and young people are experiencing quite big feelings, it can be really helpful for us to think about what things we can all do to help us to feel calm in a particular moment. Okay. So fortunately there are lots of different things that we can do. And there are lots of different ideas for lots of different people, and we all like certain things when we're feeling overwhelmed or stressed. So for example, we might suggest going for a walk together. We might decide we're not going to do any learning today. We might decide that actually it's time for a cuddle. Maybe we want to play a game or make something together. There are lots of different things that help us when we're feeling particular emotions, and we're really trying to help children and young people in this moment too. Now, as adults, this can be really difficult, can't it? Because sometimes we're feeling really big emotions alongside our children and young people who are feeling those emotions too. Now, we don't advocate really time out for children, but what we do advocate is time out for the adults sometimes, because for us it can be really, really difficult to respond to children and people in the moments where they're experiencing big emotions, because we're so overwhelmed and stressed ourselves, because we're human too. Sometimes it's just a case of us taking 1 minute to think about maybe something we can do for ourselves. I sometimes find just doing some really deep belly breathing and just taking a moment to kind of tune into my own body and to calm my own body down before responding to my child can be helpful. And sometimes I might even say this to a child or young person and maybe say, do you know what, I'm feeling really stressed and overwhelmed with this situation too. Now, I really want to talk to you about this, and I really want us to spend some time together. But for now, I'm just going to take a moment because I need to calm down myself. I hope you've enjoyed this video. The next video clip that we share will be about stage 3 of emotion coaching. Thank you.